Ah, I didn't see you there. I'm Ryan Moore, and VR, it's awesome. I wanted to discuss something today. Something that's been bugging me, and I need to get it off my chest, I guess. VR, virtual reality. It's one of those technologies that I think can be world changing, like the iPhone or Starlink. But no one is talking about it, and I have no idea why. This is the Oculus Quest 2. It came out near the end of 2020, and it's honestly incredible. People just need to give it a chance. And it's not even the first VR headset. It's far removed from it, actually. So, let's go back a bit. So in 2013, I was listening to Giant Bomb's Bombcast. Patrick Klepek kept going on and on about a little Kickstarter called the Oculus Rift, and it intrigued me. Over the course of several months, I did a lot of research, and I was sold. VR in the 90s was a joke, but VR in 2013, 2014 sounded plausible. So I bought a development kit, the version 2, or DK2. It was still primitive, but it was mind-blowing with possibilities. Yeah, I'm just doing this video. I spent a good year and a half with the DK2, showing it off to friends and even doing some light programming for it. But in April of 2016, Oculus released the retail version of the Rift. It was known to most of us as the CV1 back in the day. A month later, HTC released their own VR headset known as the Vive, and that was backed by Valve. I don't have an example because it's in a box somewhere. Needless to say, I bought both of them, and just like Mr. Matt Damon, I was all in. So you're probably saying to yourself, Ryan, if VR is so awesome, show us some examples. Here they are. Looks pretty cowabunga, right? So why isn't it popular, and why aren't more people talking about it? I think there's a couple reasons for it. One, it's just kind of hard to explain. Try talking to someone about VR. They're either going to roll their eyes, or they're going to disregard what you're saying completely. The other is marketing. Marketing has done a terrible job of showing off VR. Whenever you look at a VR commercial, they usually have a heads-up display over the face, kind of like Jarvis in Iron Man. That's not what VR is. Take a look at this commercial. We all agree this looks really stupid, right? Anyways, there's others that go off into a completely different direction, just showing gameplay footage, which you think would be great. But it's oftentimes so jerky and shaky that it's completely off-putting to everyone. That was so shaky, I think I got a migraine coming on. What people don't understand about VR is that it takes a flat, two-dimensional image and adds that missing Z-axis, depth. Put on a VR headset, and you're not just viewing the world, you're actually immersed into it. Everything has sides and you can move around like never before. So, let's get immersive, and I'll show you some of my personal favorite recommendations. So the first game I want to talk about is Fallout 4 VR. The original flat game came out in 2015, and 2 years later we got the VR port of the game in 2017. The game originally didn't perform all that great, but there was an undeniable fact that transporting yourself into a post-apocalyptic world of Boston made exploring every single nook and cranny so enjoyable. The world comes alive like it never did before, and that's the beauty of VR. Everything seems so real. One of my favorite things about this game is that it showcases exactly why VR gaming is not just amazing, but it's also superior. Take one of the first parts of the game, around 30 minutes in. You must take out a couple of the last raiders in the Museum of Freedom. And as you make your way through a couple of floors, you'll come across the last two guys at the very end that are trying to kill the Minutemen. And you have to take them out. Well, normally you would just run up and start killing them in a normal game. But in VR, you can actually use tactics that are only able to be done within VR.
Last one of you. Come on, man. They ain't going nowhere. We got other shit to deal with. You hear that? I gotta go take a little walk. But I'll be back, and you'll be dead.
You can actually sneak up and put your gun in a hole in the wall, and then turn it 90 degrees and blindly take out all the bad guys while not exposing yourself in the process. This can only be done in VR with the use of motion track controls and a full 3-dimensional space.
Die for me? You're dead.
But shooters aren't the only thing that can be improved upon because of VR. There are plenty of games whose atmosphere is increased tenfold just because you are placed inside the real world. Let's take a look at Alien Isolation from 2013, for example. Before Alien Isolation came out, I saw it at a behind-the-closed-door demo at E3. Sega said it was going to support VR, and I was so excited, but I didn't know if I could handle a scary game like that in VR. For whatever reason, Sega scrapped the VR support, but luckily there was one modder who actually implemented it back into the game with a mod called Mother VR. Exploring the original Nostromo ship from the original Alien movie and being stalked by a xenomorph in an abandoned space station, along with android workers called Working Joes, it absolutely terrified me in the best way possible. And there is nothing like laying down on the floor in real life just to escape a xenomorph out to get you. Subnautica. It's another game that truly changed the way you play games in VR. With a flat pancake game, your character explores the alien ocean world that you've crash-landed on, but the screen actually has a diving mask around the edges of the screen, making it seem fake, but it gives you the illusion of scuba diving. But the VR version, it actually brings a sense of being completely alone to the forefront, and it also immerses you in its creepy but ultimately atmospheric underwater world. Is just another example of a game that takes on a whole new meaning when you place a VR headset on. I mean, look at this. You're exploring an underwater cave, which is fascinating. But you're also finding new materials to use to build a base, and scrounging for food at the same time. But you're also filled with a little bit of sense of foreboding, like you might not make it back to the surface in time. And that can be both frightening and exhilarating.
New creature discovered. Oxygen. New creature discovered.
Like I said earlier, games aren't the only thing that makes VR awesome. There are plenty of experiences that don't require anything of you. You just sit back and watch. Kinda like a movie. No controllers, no solving puzzles, you just enjoy, in 3 dimensions. But, however, there are some experiences that require more of you, to get up and physically move around. I'm talking about exercising. Exercising sucks and everyone hates it. Believe me, I certainly do. But VR enhances the exercising experience. It allows you to enjoy it by gamifying it, giving you stats, building up move lists, and things like that. VR is awesome for exercising. Sure, you might sweat just a tiny little bit, but it's all worth it in the end. And hey, isn't that what VR should be? Worth it? Beat Saber. It's one of the go-tos for most people when they talk about VR. But just in case you don't know what it is about, it's basically a cool way to exercise by slicing up little cubes to the sound of music while dual-wielding lightsabers. Oh, and by the way, you look super cool doing it. Soundboxing is another great way to exercise and box, but you have a wider range of music to listen to than in Beat Saber, thanks to YouTube being integrated in a great way. The community has built custom charts that they record themselves, and then you play it back trying to punch the floating cymbals. You can kind of think of it like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but using your body. Drunken Bar Fight? This might be one of my favorites. It's half game, but all exercise. You walk into a bar and you pick a fight with someone and try to see how long you last. I loved it so much, I actually played it at my bachelor party with all of my friends, and we had an amazing and fun time.
Wait, I wasn't ready! Ow!
My wife has brought home more threat.
I said slappers only! Now! Ow!
You want to take this outside?
Climby. While more of a game, Climby still can get you a great workout. Everything must be done by moving around. The objective is simple. Get to the end of the course and touch the flagpole. However, the journey is anything but. Taking the activity of rock climbing and allowing players to play community-created levels offers a ton of challenge and nearly an unending amount of content to play.